All right, should be up and running in just a moment.
I'm going to bring the agenda up so that I can follow it and speak to it. I'm going to bring the agenda up so that I can follow it and speak to it.
It's one heck of a time delay.
So that I can follow it and speak to it. Okay. So first of all, the ARPA funds.
Does somebody have the YouTube running on their computer?
The ARPA funds.
That might be me. Hold on, let me figure it out.
ARPA funds.
That's better.
Well, I'll start over. The ARPA funds were approved for the design study for going north to New Milford. Based on that approval, we sent out RFPs to 3 engineering firms. The town chose Stantec Engineering to do the work, which if you have a chance, go onto their website and look at some of the projects they've done. I didn't realize it when I talked to Greg Dembowski, but they are a worldwide company and have extensive experience in all kinds of engineering. But the best news of all is their quote came in under $30,000, whereas we had been thinking this was going to be about $75,000. So Greg is going to still ask for about $50,000 because his time gets put against the various projects, and he will be very much involved with this. So, but even so, you know, we're going to probably get this design study and whatever Greg's hours are for under $50,000, which is great. Second piece of good news is since the budget was approved, which included capital projects, Streetscape 6 was approved. That means that funding for extending the Greenway up to where the new intersection will be just south of Newberry Village will be not only already designed, but the construction will be paid for out of Streetscape 6. I would expect that we're going to have the study by Stantec done by the end of the summer, but the Streetscape 6 construction, according to Greg, probably won't start for about 2 years. But that's, you know, that's okay, because that gives us time to get everything in place that we might need to complete construction from the new intersection north to New Milford. Obviously, the design study is the first piece of that. The second piece would be getting easements. The third piece would be getting funding. And I think all of that would probably take us at least 2 years. But again, as you will remember from prior meetings, there's a lot more money available for construction than there is for design studies. So I would expect that within 2 to 3 years, we'll have applied for construction funding, at least, you know, with a couple of different grant opportunities. Whether we get them or not is a different story, but there will be some coming up, and we'll go through that when we do the Greenways Committee report. But what I wanted to raise now is just asking some questions, you know, of our committee. When do we start a marketing campaign to say, you know, this is what we're working on? And this is what we anticipate is going to happen. Then upon completion of the study, we should then schedule meetings with the various condo association boards that we've been keeping up to date, such as Riverview and Newberry Village. And then I think we ought to do something for the town in general, whether that's just an update at a Board of Selectmen meeting, which I think we should also do, or whether we do something else on a larger scale. That's something I think we should all think about and discuss maybe at our next meeting. Then lastly, as these grant programs come up, we need to be prepared to write grant applications as money becomes available for construction. And again, Mary, that probably would be Greg doing most of that, the grant applications with the help of you and our committee, because that's the way we've done them in the past, correct? You're muted.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Going back to the question of a marketing campaign, I don't know that it's not something we need to do imminently, but it's something we might want to consider once we have the design study. Do you guys have any thoughts one way or another on that?
I agree. I think we should wait till after the study's done. That way we have some graphics, some presentation material that we can use, and plus has the seal of approval from an engineering company.
Okay.
That's my take, at least.
So what's the marketing intended to accomplish, Jay?
It's a combination of just information, but also, at some point, the construction cost is going to come to the town for a vote. And we try to get ahead of this and, tell everybody how great, the Greenway is, how great it is for businesses in the area, how great it is for, health, et cetera, so that when the vote comes up, that we've done a good job of making people aware of why it should be approved. And it depends on what type of grant we get based on, how much money the town has to put in. Sometimes it's, as low as 5%, sometimes it's as high as 20 or 30%. Either way, for the most part, it's going to probably come to a vote in the town. I don't think this is going to be something that we could probably do in a finance board meeting or a town meeting. It's probably going to come to a machine vote. So we try to get ahead of it, make people aware of what the path is going to be, why it's so great for the town, why it's so great for the residents, et cetera, and just get out in front of it. We did that the last time as well, and it worked very well. So that's the real purpose of it.
I'm assuming we don't have any metrics on how many people in the town actually use it versus out-of-towners or the economic impact, right?
We do have some data on that. However, it's a couple of years old. It's about 3 years old at this point. But we did surveys early on. I'd say probably about 8 months after, 9 months after the Greenway opened. And we got it's about 90% of the people using the path are from Brookfield right now. And there was some question regarding economics and how much money people would spend or spend in the area, but I don't remember that one off the top of my head. I'll look it up,
Okay,
okay?
great.
May I just jump in for a quick sec?
Yep,
Recently what we've seen with the town is that they've been wanting us to include these projects as part of the 10-year capital plan. So the streetscape project for phase 6, actually, instead of being considered a standalone project, as we saw, was actually put in as part of the capital plan for fiscal year 2023. So I'm wondering out loud if we might want to think about putting in a placeholder, whether it's going to be under Park and Rec or under economic development, for what we anticipate being some funding level needed and the approximate year of when that funding is going to be needed, just to put it on the town radar that this is going to be coming up, so that way when the Board of Finance, the Board of Selectmen are having discussions, that it's not going to be a total surprise. So when we submit capital projects, again, it's going to be in October of this year. And I think that we might want to maybe have a placeholder on somebody's 10-year capital plan for the project as well.
okay, that's, thank you for letting us know that. But I think what we should do then is whatever cost analysis the design study comes up with is what we should put in. And hopefully we'll have that by October. So just keep reminding us of that.
Yeah, no, I will. I just wanted to say it out loud because it was striking to me at the time. And I do think that before a public campaign at all with marketing, I do think that a presentation to the Board of Selectmen would be probably appreciated, just to make sure that the town administration knows before we take any other action.
I'm thinking that let me throw this out to the committee. Do you think that we should do it before we get the design study done? And just tell people, well, this is now, we finally made some progress. This is where we are. This is what we're doing, and this is what we anticipate. Or do you want to, should we wait 3-4 months and do it after we get the design study? Or we could do 2 meetings. What do you think?
Is that the time frame, Jay? 3 to 4 months for the study?
I'm guessing that's what it's going to be. Yeah. So, the one, on the one hand, it would be good to go to the town board and say, hey, we finally made some progress here, thanks to you guys and the Board of Finance. And this is what we're doing. On the other hand, it would be good to go to them and say, okay, we got this design study done. This is the good news. This is the bad news. And this is, our next plan of action. Any thoughts?
I don't think it'd be bad to do both.
Yeah, it can't hurt, right?
I agree. I mean, just give them a quick update, 5-10 minutes at a meeting would be very helpful. I mean, the more we communicate, the more they're listening and hearing what we're doing, I think the better off we are.
Okay, I will look into that then. So is the next Board of Selectmen meeting it's normally the first Monday of the month?
Right.
So that's the 4th of July. Do they move it to a Tuesday or do they move it to the following Monday?
They move it to the following Monday, I believe. We could check on that, but.
Okay. I'll look into that. Any other thoughts on the first part? Then we'll move into the Greenway committee meeting.
Hey, Jay, just a minor issue. You said Stan Tech. I think it's Stan Tech, TEC.
There may be a misprint there. Yeah, I think it is. I think you're right. Sorry. It should
That's
be
good.
an E.
I actually have a contract with that company at work myself, but that matters here. But I do have, it is Stan Tech, I believe.
Okay, my apologies. Okay, update from the Connecticut Greenways meeting. So the good news is, if you remember from our past meeting, there was a initiative to increase the amount of money from $3 million to $6 million for deep grants this year. That actually passed through the legislature. So it needs to be signed by the governor and approved by the bond committee. The Greenways committee is cautiously optimistic that that will happen. And so there will be double the amount of money available for whenever the next round of grants does come up. And depending on where we are with the design study, we might be able to actually apply for some of that money. So we'll have to keep a close eye on what happens with the bond committee and see if our design study gets done quickly enough. A new TCI push. So if you remember, the TCI was that program that they were trying to put in, which would have been a wholesale tax on gasoline and diesel fuel. And it died in committee. So they've now basically taken the three initiatives and are setting them out into two or three separate pieces. So they want to phase out diesel fuel by 2030, and they want zero emissions by 2040 for all state vehicles, that they would all be electric vehicles by 2040. I don't know how or when they're going to push those through, but knowing that the TCI died in committee, this is the next attempt at pushing these environmental initiatives for the state. So they're starting with the state vehicles. Parks Infrastructure Initiative. So this was an interesting one. The state has designated $51 million for improvements to state parks. That includes renovations, cleanup, as well as new construction. To get to that $51 million, they're taking $21.5 million from the state's Arpa funds, and they're planning on issuing $30 million worth of bonds. So I'll get more information as that progresses, as far as exactly what infrastructure is being done and at what state parks. But at this point, it's just basically $51 million designated for improvements. I'm sure that list is somewhere, but it has not been brought to our attention yet. In staying with their plan for connecting various trails and greenways around the state, there's a bunch of large projects that are finally going to bid. It includes connections in 3 or 4 different places throughout Hartford, connecting with West Hartford, Bloomfield, and Simsbury. There's also a project in New Haven that's under construction that will be completed by December, connecting the Yale University area with the Long Wharf area. And additionally, other connections are in the works with the Farmington Heritage Trail and Loop Trail connecting Cheshire to Middletown. So there is a lot of activity going on. And as we've seen in the past few years, a lot of that activity is trying to connect different trails to make them more useful to the riding and walking public. The last item I have is the Connecticut Trail Finder website, which had 100 trails on it in December is now up to 185 trails. So they're making a lot of progress in getting trails added to the Trail Finder. There is also some talk about neighboring states starting their own Trail Finder, and possibly we might have some kind of a merger of these Trail Finders somewhere down the road. So, and Yukon is the Yukon group is still managing that and obviously doing a great job. So that was the report from the Connecticut Greenways Committee. So we have finally some good news and some work to do in the near future. So after 2.5 years, we're at a point where we can move forward. Any thoughts, any comments, anything I haven't covered you want to discuss?
Hey, is there a scope of work with Stantec that you can share with the group?
As I know, as I've heard from Greg, it's being written up by, I guess, the person in the town that actually sends out these things. Is Jules, do you know that name, Mary? Who exactly is he?
Yeah, Jules is Julian Cabanos, who's the purchasing agent for the town. So he's usually involved in our RFPs and contracts.
Yeah, he's writing up the actual scope of work for Stantec. I don't think it's actually been sent out yet. He was still working on it a week or so ago. But I'll follow up and I'll let you know.
I'm just thinking to make sure if there's some specific items, whether it be graphics or displays or specific topics that we want to cover, it'd be helpful for us is to kind of, assuming we can provide input into that, it'd be helpful.
Right, okay.
So you're referring to what the output would look like? Oh,
Yeah, exactly. You know, what the scope of the work is, if we're going to be looking for some type of, graphic mapping, a map of the path and alternate multiple options, whatever it might be, something that we can give them guidance on. So we have something that we think we need and want with the marketing and presentations to the various boards.
exactly. Good.
I'm sorry, Jay, if it's okay with you, I would be happy to do a group email connecting you, Bo, anybody else on the committee with Greg and Jules, just to make that request kind of formally in an email. So he's aware of that. I would expect that he would be very open to any input from the group.
Yeah, why don't you do that? I think that would make sense. I mean, I've discussed it briefly with Greg, what would be included in this, and, things like a schedule from them on when the work would be finished. But I think it would be a good idea that we at least have some input, or at least review what he's wants to put out there. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, we can end our meeting at 7:28.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did everybody else see the invite to the Connecticut Greenways Council, the award ceremony on Friday? We hosted it in Brookfield last year. No, okay, I just got the invite today. I can forward it on to everybody as well in case anybody's interested. It's in Groton this year.
That's why I didn't put it on the list, because
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay.
No, it's okay. I didn't think anybody would want to go to Groton, so I didn't bother to put it on there.
That's a hike, all right.
But yeah, send it out anyway, Mary.
We should talk about the meeting for next month, because it seems that we've got some issues with
Sorry, Gene, I can't hear you.
we should talk about the meeting for the date for the meeting for next month. I'm sorry.
I will look at my calendar right now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. How about Monday, June 27th?
I could do that.
Does that work?
That's for me.
Jim, you okay with that?
As far as I know.
Okay. Bo? All right, let's plan it for that date, and if something comes up, we'll adjust. Okay? Dan, thank you for your help.
Not a problem.